Hey guys, how you doing? This is Craig here from Bass Lessons Melbourne, and today I'm joined by Mr. Michael Manson for our video. So
pleasure.
Thanks for coming around, man. I appreciate you taking the time.
It's a pleasure to be here.
You're in Melbourne with Jeff Lorber.
Yes, Jeff Lorber.
The Fusion.
It's Fusion. We're playing a whole lot of notes.
Yeah.
But it's all good though.
Yeah. Have you played with Jeff much before in the past?
Actually, I'm fairly new to the group. I've done a couple of dates with him in the States, and then now we're getting extensive and going on tour. So
yeah,
it's
cool.
pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's the preparation like for a gig like that when you get the call?
It's pretty intense actually.
Yeah.
So lots of reading.
Right.
Lots of note reading. There
So
are a lot of.
He's got charts for everything.
Oh, he's got charts. No, they're fairly extensive charts. I mean, there's rhythm charts, chord charts, and then there's lines that you have to play because it's, they're unison lines.
Yeah, right.
So it's fairly intensive, I must say, which is kind of the reason why I took the gig in the first place.
Yeah.
Is, to be able to just a lot of times in the States, when I'm doing things, you have to be entertaining and you have to entertain a lot, and that's good, and there's good and bad in that. But to be able to just stretch out and play some intense music was actually what I was looking for.
Without having to be the front guy.
Without having to be the front guy.
Yeah.
And but even Jeff himself, as good looking as he is and all that, he's more about the music. He's about playing.
Yeah.
And if the audience likes it, great. This is the kind of way I feel about it. If the audience likes it, great. Then
yeah, he
loves it. But if they don't like it, I'm still going to play.
Absolutely. Well, because I came when he was here, I think maybe at the start of the year or early last year.
Yeah.
And he stretched out pretty.
Oh yeah.
Pretty far.
No, we stretch out a lot.
Yeah. It's great.
It's great. I loved it, because, again, a lot of times in the States you have to be entertaining and you can't take long solos and you can't, you have to kind of stay in the confines of being entertaining and having people like you and be able to get up and dance and, enjoy the show, as it were.
Sell some drinks.
Sell some drinks. So this is really cool and refreshing.
Yeah, nice. And how do you actually go about absorbing that material? Like, do you have any charts on stage, or it's all
no, actually I am reading charts on stage.
Okay, right.
Yeah. And at this point now, we're fairly in the we're in the beginning of the tour, and I'm starting not to look at them a whole lot.
Yeah, but he was cool with that. I mean, he knows obviously it's a huge amount of work to put in. But otherwise, if you get a call for a tour or a date or something like that, do you have a method or process that you go through for absorbing the material?
Again, just practicing listening and reading.
Yeah.
Listening and reading. And then, to a point, I analyze, what I'm going to do solo-wise.
Sure.
Harmonic structure.
Yeah.
That type of thing.
Just get your head around some things. Just
Absolutely.
So that you can have somewhere to start.
Absolutely. And then I let the music take me.
Yeah, cool. First time in Australia? No, you were here before.
I was here before with George Duke.
Right.
And I can't even remember the venue that we played, but it's been a while. So this is my first time back.
Yeah, cool.
And I came to Melbourne, actually. I didn't go to Sydney. So we just finished up in Sydney.
Yeah.
And it was my first time in Sydney, so it was very cool.
Yeah, well, welcome to Melbourne.
Yeah.
Good to have you. Whereabouts did you grow up?
So I grew up in Chicago, born and raised in Chicago,
Yep.
just outside a small city, just outside of
Hence
Chicago.
the t-shirt.
Well, I'm an avid sports fan. So, in fact, my Chicago Cubs are playing baseball as we speak right now.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
So I'm going to reach over check my phone just a little bit.
We'll have a timeout.
But yeah, I grew up in Chicago, and it's a wonderful. I would imagine just like Melbourne, it's a wonderful music scene in Chicago. Grew up, doing the garage band thing, and being the next Earth, Wind and Fire, Ohio Players.
Those are good aspirations.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And then around 1980s or so, I started playing a lot of gospel.
Okay.
A lot of gospel. And I have a fairly intense church background.
Okay.
So.
So it was natural. It was a natural progression.
Natural progression.
Yeah.
And but I wound up doing top of the line national gospel acts.
Yeah.
And that were around in that era, and so that was cool, and I was really content actually in just doing that. And but then as a spiritual awakening happened, as it were, I decided that I could do more, and not be in a box anymore. And so I started playing with some jazz gigs. Did some things around Chicago, but then I met this guy named Kirk Whalum, saxophone player.
Yeah.
And we hit it off right away. We became friends. And I did a record called The Gospel According to Jazz, which was a really great bridge for me.
Yeah. Okay. That's it. Yeah. It sounds like it.
It's like I've got the best of both worlds. I pride myself in having a good education, and so I just about maybe 7 years ago finished. 7 years before I met Kirk, I had finished my master's degree in orchestra studies as well.
Right.
Oddly enough, I'm not studied as a jazz player. I'm studied as a classical player.
Right. So upright.
Upright. And my major was orchestra conducting.
Really?
Yeah.
Like big band leading.
Yes. Big band leading.
Wow.
So, but I always knew how to play jazz, and it was like, so I went to go to school to learn something else.
Sure.
And so I learned how to conduct an orchestra and how to play an orchestra.
Did the classical side come from upbringing, or just something you wanted to do different?
Kind of from upbringing, yeah. And but it was always a passion of mine. I love classical music.
Right.
I adore it. And so after I finished that, then I met Kirk and started. Then from that album I met George Duke, and we hit it off as well.
Yeah.
And
what time would this be roughly?
97.
Okay.
Or something.
90s, yeah.
97. And we've been the best of friends since.
Yeah.
And so started working with George Duke, started working with Kirk Whalum, started working with Larry Carlton.
So kind of one thing just led to another, and doors
Snowballed.
started opening up. Yeah.
It snowballed, for real. Al Jarreau
Wow.
came from that. Did a couple of dates with Chaka Khan.
That must have been an experience.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, they all must have been, but
Yeah,
standing next to Shaq on stage must have been.
It was amazing.
Yeah,
it was amazing. I mean, to hang out with the A-listers, as it were.
Sure.
And all I felt like I was just another gospel bass player. But
well, I guess that's good, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, it was good. It was cool. But I learned a lot from George. I think George is probably the most influential. The way I feel about bass is that yes, it plays a bass line, and yes, it should be felt and heard.
Mm-hmm.
But it should also, and this thing that I've learned from George and from Kirk as well, is that bass should sing.
Mm.
It's got to sing. If it sings, then it reaches people. If you're just doing a bass line, it's like, okay, well, whatever. Who cares?
Yeah.
But if it sings and it comes from you, then it reaches people, and then it's felt. And so that's a big deal.
Right.
It's a big deal for me.
Is that like do you reckon that's a lifelong?
It's a mantra.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay.
It's, I mean, if I can get this instrument, it has its limitations.
Yeah.
For real. I mean,
It doesn't necessarily want to sing and pick it up.
It doesn't.
You gotta.
I envy saxophone players to a point.
Yeah.
It's like, you're singing,
Yeah.
But I mean, that said, George was one of those guys where he, even with the limitations on the keyboard, because there are limitations on the keyboard as well.
Sure, yeah.
But with limitations on the keyboard, it's like, overcome them and sing and reach people.
So you reckon it really kind of helped you develop a stronger voice?
Absolutely.
On your instrument?
Absolutely.
Yeah, which is important, I think.
I think it's fantastic. I think it's the most important. Otherwise you're just functional.
Yeah.
And functionality can be replaced.
True. Yeah, I mean, I guess you want people to call you for you.
Absolutely.
The bass playing is a given.
Yes.
And then they want that flavor or that voice that you have.
If somebody calls me, okay, and this may be a little haughty, but if somebody calls me and they say, hey, I need a bass player, I said, don't call me.
Yeah, right.
But if you want me to sing on your, sing bass, and you want the flavor that I bring, then fine, we're good. We're golden.
Yeah.
But if you just need a bass player, call a bass player.
Yeah.
Or you could, that kind of functionality can be replaced by a keyboard player.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure George had a pretty good bass playing capacity.
He could do anything that I could do. But that said, he wanted my flavor. He wanted who and what I bring.
Yeah.
And I get that out of my band as well. It's like, okay, whatever you have is what I want.
Yeah, I guess that's like what I was saying earlier on about my own band, about subbing people in and out.
Sure.
Sometimes you got to do it, but ultimately, when you find that right mix of guys, it makes a unique sound, and everybody's unique voice then creates something else.
That's right.
Like those great bands in history, like Weather Report and Yellow Jackets and Fire. I mean, they had some changes, but essentially the core, that sound was from specific guys.
Specific guys. And I realize things happen within groups.
Yeah.
It's a marriage. Sometimes marriages, don't stay together.
Yeah.
It just, we're human.
It's good for a bit. And then you gotta,
And, but while the marriage is happening, there is a unique thing there. And everybody brings something to the table.
Sure. Yeah. Chicago is obviously quite well known as a blues capital.
It is.
Did you get involved in that side of things?
Not at all.
Not at all. Right.
Not at all. Again, going to my spiritual upbringing, it was like because blues and gospel can be, musically it's just about the same.
Sure.
It can be anyway.
But culturally or socially,
it's definitely a little different, kind of different.
Interesting.
Ends of the spectrum.
Yeah.
So I never really got into the culture. I mean, I can't say that I never played blues, but I never got into the. I mean, I have friends who can work 6 nights a week in blues clubs in Chicago.
Right.
I mean, it's that prevalent. So so it's very important to the culture of Chicago, the blues is.
So then, when you were kind of growing up in your formative years, playing bass, what were some of the guys or some of the bands that you were kind of aiming towards?
Well, again, Earth, Wind & Fire was a big band. That thing I was into, the Ohio Players. The guy who really kind of formed my way of playing was Abraham Laborio.
Okay.
Abe Senior, I should say, because there is a junior.
Yeah.
But Abe Senior kind of melded me into the type of player that I am.
Because was he on a lot of gospel stuff at the time?
Well, he did both gospel and jazz.
Okay.
He did both Al Jarreau, and he did also Andre Crouch.
Okay.
Andre Crouch is a big gospel artist of the time. And so I would listen to him in both aspects, and didn't want to be like him, and envied him actually. But I had, and of course I listened to Stanley Clarke and those guys, but I had kind of an ego on me.
Right.
In that I was like, okay, I love what you guys are doing. I want to be as good or better.
That's what drives you.
That's what drives me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you were getting private lessons, or?
I was getting some private lessons, but more often than not, I was just getting band lessons.
Okay.
I mean, my reading chops came from just playing in school bands and school orchestras, and then so I can't point to a private teacher that really kind of.
Sure. Yeah.
I had a couple of teachers who were very, very important, but they weren't necessarily bass teachers.
Yeah. And is there anything that, now at your stage in your career, is there anything that you wish you'd maybe got a handle on earlier? At that time when you're just like soaking everything up and you're involved? No. It's all meant to be the way
it's the way it happened is the way it was meant to be.
Yeah, cool.
I remember when the slap pop thing started to happen.
Yeah.
And I was so envious of that. And I mean, to the point where when I saw somebody do it, I was like, oh my gosh. I would literally spend hours upon hours, 6 to 8 hours, just trying to get it, just to make sure it happens, And it finally did, of course, But I remember that when that whole transition thing started,
Yeah.
Up until that time, we were doing the Willie Weeks, just play the bass line type of thing, and but that changed the game for us.
Yeah, it did. Larry and Marcus,
absolutely,
those guys came along.
Yeah.
So you've always been in Chicago?
Always been in Chicago, still there.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah.
Obviously you've travelled around and
I have.
gigged around America.
Yeah.
How do you find the Chicago vibe compared to maybe New York or Nashville or LA? What would you say is apart from the blues, a kind of defining musical flavor?
I'd hate to stereotype like that, but if I had to,
okay.
I think Chicago lends itself to having the aggressiveness of players like New York.
Yep.
But then I think that LA is a little bit more laid back. Players, they're a little bit more laid back. They approach things a lot more melodically.
Okay.
And of course, I mean that's very general.
For sure, yeah.
But
so a bit of a blend of both.
Yeah. So much to the point where I keep trying to figure it out. How did a Chicago bass player wind up playing with a George Duke who could hire anybody in LA to play his gig?
Yeah.
I mean, anybody. And how did he wind up for 17 years hiring a guy from Chicago? Well, I think it was that mixture, that kind of,
yeah,
the mixture of kind of being aggressive,
yeah,
but then melodic enough to sing on the bass.
Yeah, interesting.
So, yeah. So again, he could have he's had the creme de la creme. I mean, Stanley Clarke and
yeah, it was almost like finishing school for bass
for
players.
bass players, yeah. Byron Miller and Larry Campbell and all these guys who are just amazing bass players. And how did he wind up with somebody from Chicago?
But you wanted that edge.
I want the edge, I would imagine.
Yeah. And you also you've got your own.
I do.
Your own kind of ensemble, your own career.
I do.
How did that come around?
So I was working with off and on with a guy who's pretty hot in, shall we say, contemporary smooth jazz in the States. His name is Brian Culberson. And
Okay, yeah, I've heard of him.
yeah, and so I spent a little time. He's from Chicago as well. A young guy, but he's an excellent producer.
Is he a trumpet player? No.
Trombone player. Actually.
Trombone
player, but he's a keyboardist as well.
Keyboard, yeah.
And he's an excellent producer, though. So I started playing with his band, and he kept encouraging me to do my own records. It's like you really could do this. And
so he was hiring you for dates and stuff.
Yes,
like that?
He was hiring me for dates, and became part of his band. And but then he's like, okay, well, you could actually do your own thing. So he actually helped me produce my first record.
Okay.
And
when was that?
That was 2002, 2003.
Okay, not too long ago. Yeah.
So it came out, and it produced a number one hit on contemporary jazz charts. Awesome. So couldn't be mad.
So you're like, let's do this again.
Let's do this again. But then I elicited a lot of help from my other friends like Kirk and George and and everybody else who I knew in the industry, and they all were very, very willing to help, because if you spend a lot of time, pouring into other people's careers, like bass players do, we're essentially by nature supportive.
Yeah.
And if you need other people's support, the people that you have supported, they're more inclined to
That's
reciprocate.
Cool. Yeah. Yeah.
So
it's kind of one of the things about I find anyway is like don't get too caught up in the gigs for money side of things.
Oh, absolutely.
Don't forget why you started playing
Absolutely.
in the first place. The joy of music,
Absolutely.
Playing with other people.
That's right.
Money can be a divisive thing, but
yeah,
ultimately, it's a community.
And truth be told, I mean, full disclosure, a lot of the guys who worked on my records, the big names, as it were, didn't charge me.
Did George play on it a little bit?
Yes, he did.
Cool.
On 2 records, I want to say.
Yeah.
And no charge. It's like I just do it, because I love doing it, and I've done that for him as well.
Yeah.
It's just, hey man, let's just play.
Cool.
Yeah, and it happens that way in our community. I think it's. I mean, everybody's. The way the music business is right now, everybody's on the struggle. I don't care how big your name is.
Yeah.
Everybody's kind of feeling the pinch, as it were.
For sure.
And so it's nice to be nice.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not going to do any harm, hopefully. And what's your writing process or approach for that kind of stuff? I'm
a keyboardist as well. I
Okay.
play keys, so I do a lot of writing from the keyboard. In fact, this is rare that I write from bass, except when I'm writing a funk tune,
Okay.
because bass line comes first.
If you get that, everything else falls into place.
Everything falls into place.
Okay.
If I'm writing unison lines, I'll write something that I play.
Yeah.
And I kind of get that off of Jeffrey's music as well. Jeff Lorber's music is that most of his stuff that he writes is stuff that he plays already. Everybody else is gonna play it. He plays,
Well, that's his right.
It is, But we find ourselves doing, a lot of Jeffrey lines, and that's cool because I get to know who he is.
Yeah. Yeah.
And at some point, it'll come out in my own music as well.
Yeah, and a different flavor, different
flavor,
twist.
different place.
That's cool. So do you sing as well?
I don't.
No. Okay.
No.
A little bit?
No. I'll tell you a funny story. Right. So, before George and Al passed, right? We did the Java Jazz Festival.
Okay.
In Jakarta.
That's a pretty big festival.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
It's fantastic. And so it was a trio thing, right? So it's me, George, and a drummer, and Al. We're the only ones on stage, right? So there's no background singers for Al.
Okay.
So it's me and George singing background. And George will go in and out. If he has to play something, he'll go in and out. So who's left? Me. And it is the worst singing ever in front of thousands of people.
With Al Jarreau.
With Al Jarreau. And I mean, I know people are going to look for this, but it's on YouTube. And
wow.
It's like, oh, it's painful. Because I'm just not a singer.
Yeah,
you know,
it's tough to play and sing and play bass, I think.
No, I have a bad voice.
Okay.
That's what it is. It's it. My voice is bad.
Well, at least you can say you sang with Al Jarreau. Not many people can
That's
say
very
that.
True. Very true. But yeah, it's pretty bad.
Yeah.
I hire singers.
Okay. Yeah.
I hire singers. Yeah.
And how do you find touring has changed since you started doing it? Because the world's quite a different place now. It's more expensive, but in some regards it's cheaper. What's it like hitting the road now compared to when you were?
Well, I don't know. It seems to me that it's the world is a smaller place now, and that we're all so connected. So, I mean, I feel like being in Melbourne is like being at home in some respects.
Sure.
So I don't feel so disconnected. So, and yes, it's probably kind of expensive, I would imagine, to get us over here and all over the place, but you would think that it was, the difference from being back in the day as opposed to now is that you would think that there's this big divide, and there isn't. There are great players all over the world. There are, and people are people, and so there's not a big mystery anymore. Just go to another place, experience different people, and play for different people. So I think that's my perception.
Sure.
It's not. It's just the world is smaller,
more connected.
But
there's still that hunger for live music and stuff.
Absolutely, I think so.
Yeah.
I think so. I think even more so outside of the U.S. than in the U.S. in that we're so media driven in the U.S. specifically.
Yeah.
And we're glued to devices and we're glued to televisions, and we're almost to the point where we'd rather stay at home and experience streaming, as it were, than to go out and be in a community of music lovers.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not always that way, but I mean, it's it's becoming more prevalent.
Yeah. When that option is right there, it's much easier to just.
Yeah. Okay. Just turn on.
And also, there's a. Maybe saturation is the wrong word, but there's so much music and stuff all the time.
Saturation is actually really good.
I'll go out next week and see it, or I'll see him next time he's in town, kind of thing.
Or I'll see somebody like him, or I'll see somebody like her.
Yeah.
In another week or so,
Yeah.
So yeah, back when I was growing up, music was held. Music and musicians were held more in high esteem.
Yeah.
And it's because there were, if you had something that was readily available and marketable to the public, then you had to have had some kind of validity.
Yeah.
At least that was the perception.
Yeah.
Now with the point of anybody who can program a computer and market themselves, can have a record. It's like it seems that
lessens the value.
It lessens the value. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And also, just it's hard to kind of describe, but people can. There's no mystery anymore, I guess.
Yeah.
Like the only way that you could get to see an artist would be to go and see the artist.
Right.
YouTube didn't exist.
Right.
Unless you bought a VHS or something like that,
right,
or put on the record. That was the only way that you could get some of that experience.
Right.
Whereas nowadays, I mean, I saw online the other day that they're actually going to start selling concert tickets like virtual reality concert tickets. So you want to go and see U2, but it's sold out, and there'll be 300 cameras along the front row, and you can pay $50 and get a live stream of the U2 concert to your computer.
Yeah.
And it'll be like a 360 camera, so you feel like you're in the audience. You know, which is great for those guys because they're making, you know, an extra 50% on top of the sellout concert. But I'm not sure what kind of message that will send to the general music going public. You know, whether that becomes
at some point it will be an empty concert hall
full of like robots with cameras.
Yeah.
You send your drone in.
It's not far away.
But it's not the same.
It's not the same.
You don't get stood on and drinks spilled on you. And
well, even
stuck
more,
in a car park for
even
an
more
hour.
important, the vibrations of the music, right? The idea of going to a concert, actually, the idea, and I got this from a study that was done on choirs. In that, when the choir sings, right, they're all breathing together. They're all feeling the same vibrations together, which makes it more of a community. The same is true as the concert goer, where you are feeling those vibrations all together. You may not be breathing all together, but you're feeling all that together, and you're sharing this experience of the vibrations hitting you. That's what makes a concert special.
Yeah.
And you are communing with each other, as opposed to sitting in a room.
Yeah, it's like a unique shared experience.
It is. It is. So I hate to see that happen, but I know it's probably at some point going to happen.
To some extent, but I think the music industry, musicians, we find other ways to combat it, and we'll figure it out.
Yeah.
Let's talk a little bit about this guy you've got in your hands here.
This little thing.
Yeah.
20 years old this year.
You used this on George Duke stuff.
Absolutely.
And...
yeah. This honestly, it is a very cheap Fender.
Yeah.
American-made Jazz Deluxe, and it works. I have no complaints. I have basses that cost $6,000, $7,000 US. They never make it out of my house. This makes it out of my house.
Yeah.
This is the one that works.
Just feels like home.
It is. It's like going to grandma's house and being able to just sit down and hang out.
You know where everyone's going to be.
Everything's going to be nice. And you can get anything you want.
What was your first bass? Can you remember?
Actually, it was a Fender.
Okay.
It was an old Fender jazz bass. I bought that new as well, and I made the most stupidest mistake by selling it.
Okay.
To get a bass, so it was a jazz bass. So it was named Jazz. And I was thinking, I want to play things, I'm so young and stupid. I want to play other music aside from jazz, so I'm going to need another bass to play. So...
Do you have any funk basses?
So I sold it for a PV T40 bass.
Okay.
Stupidest thing I've ever done.
How old of a jazz are we talking about? 70s?
70s, yeah.
Yeah.
If I would still had that right now, oh my God. Yeah.
Do you still have the PV?
No, of course not.
Of course not.
Yeah, that was really stupid. So, I learned. I have never, ever sold another bass.
Right, okay.
Just because I won't ever do that.
When did you start going on to the 5-string?
Around 1987 or 86. I had higher aspirations of playing with Al Jarreau, right?
Okay.
The guy who was playing with Al Jarreau at the time was Nathan East. Nathan had just acquired a 5-string Yamaha.
Yeah.
And when I heard it, I was like, oh my gosh, I've got to have that bass. So I went and bought the Yamaha BB5000. You know, it's a classic now.
Yeah.
But I bought that bass just because of Nathan.
Right.
And
there's just going back to what we were talking about earlier on. Like, there's a guy that is, you know, has a voice 100% and is a bass player. You know, he brings that voice to his bass playing. Like, when you hear it, it's perfectly functional. You know, it does exactly what it should do, but it has this thing on it, and that's his. I reckon that's his singing voice coming through, because he's actually also a really good singer.
He's a really good singer.
Yeah.
I wish I could sing like him.
Yeah.
No, he's very, very good.
Yeah.
But yeah, he was one who was kind of influential. There was this live DVD that they did, concert DVD, around 1985 or so, 1986. And when I saw that, I was like, oh my gosh, this is great.
Yeah.
And so.
And then 20 years later, or 10 years later, whatever you.
Then I started. Well, you know, dreams. I guess the deal is, man, is that I'm a testament to dreams coming true. I mean, yes, I worked hard, you know, and prayed a lot, you know, but dreams do come true. I mean, I aspired when I was learning. One of the first bass solos that I ever learned was the George Duke "Reach for It."
Yeah, right.
One of the first guys who I was inspired to play like was Abraham Lovario, and he was playing with Al Jarreau. And I always picture myself, I said, I'm going to be able to do this. I'm going to be able to play at a level where I can, you know, either do what they do, and I want to be able to do it better. I don't know if that's true or not, but I mean, I don't know if I do it better now, but I certainly can do it.
Well, you do it the Michael Manson way, which is,
just right.
You know, I think when you're in that circle, there is no really better. It's just different.
Yeah, it's a different. I do it the way I do it.
Yeah.
And nobody can do that better than I can do.
Yeah, exactly. Take solace in that. What was the Larry Carlton gig like?
It was interesting. I love Larry. It was interesting being to play all the stuff that I play, and then play that with a guitar player. And it took me a minute to learn space.
Okay.
And boundaries.
Right.
Know. It's like, okay, when he's doing something that is lower end, I don't do my thing up here, you know, and you know, and then when he is, you know, then I do my thing, you know, when he's playing higher and doing his thing, and he's the ultimate, truth be told, he's the ultimate blues guitarist.
Oh yeah. You can boil everything down to that.
Yeah, he's the blues guitarist. I mean, he said it once to me. He said, man, if I could just sit on a porch in the country with my guitar and rock and play my guitar, I'd be happy. I don't have to go out and do any concerts, no nothing, no recordings. I just want to sit, rock, you know.
Don't need to deal with bass players, drummers.
Give me a drink.
Yeah.
Let me rock and play my guitar. I'll be great.
Yeah.
And nobody could bend a note like he could. Nobody. I mean, he's the ultimate note bender. And he sings. He sings.
Yeah.
You know, so, I mean, to be able to find your voice. So, I mean, I think the most difficult thing about playing with Larry, I mean, there was a lot of great things about playing with him, but the most difficult was being able to find your voice with another voice and to be able to sing together.
Interesting. Yeah.
Yeah. But now he's playing, his son is playing with him right now.
Yeah,
and so, I mean, I know they gel together great. I'm sure of that.
Yeah. Do you ever get a chance to meet Abe?
I have.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. In fact, I mean, the first time I met him, I was completely starstruck. Completely. I was like, and he was just, I was playing with a gospel choir. We did the Motown 25th anniversary or 30th anniversary. I can't remember which one it was. And we went there, my first trip to LA, and so Paul Jackson was playing guitar, and Abe was playing bass for the show.
Right.
And so I had to go up and replace Abe. You know, it was like, but oh my God, knees shaking, hands sweaty, everything. It was the worst. I got a chance to meet my hero.
Yeah.
You know, and it was very inspiring. Very inspiring.
That's great.
Yeah, I'm still inspired by, you know, and even more so than his playing, I'm inspired by his approach, mentally, conceptually.
Okay.
You know, he's a great player, but I don't play necessarily like him.
No.
In that, because he plays this flamingo style. He's really an awesome flamingo guitarist.
Yeah.
And so I don't play like him, you know, but his approach is masterful, and I love that. So
Very melodic.
very melodic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And have you ventured into the world of inspiring others, you know, teaching? Have you?
Oh, absolutely, I have.
Yeah?
Yeah. Actually, me and my wife, we run a not-for-profit music school
Oh, wow.
in Chicago called the Musical Arts Institute,
Right.
and we serve underprivileged kids, about 425 of them, actually.
That's huge.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. But we teach everything,
Yeah.
you know.
And you teach bass there?
Of course. Bass, I do bass and piano as well.
Cool.
And we've got a staff of 14 teachers, and we're 7 years old now and helping out a lot of kids. I'm very proud. Just yesterday, one of our first students, who later became one of our teachers, is an opera singer now. She's debuting at the Lyric Opera,
Wow.
and I mean, literally changed her life.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
Yeah. Music.
music.
And is that, do you reckon that's in any way changed the way that you play or the way that you approach music?
No, but I want to get people to see the way I approach it, so that, you know, because I mimic somebody. I mimicked one of my teachers,
Yeah.
and if I can have that same effect on somebody else, and I know I have actually at this point,
Yeah.
you know, then mission accomplished.
That's
I'm
cool.
good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. And you're also telling me you just released a new single?
Just released a new single, so this is I'm working on my 5th record right now.
Wow.
Yeah, and so it's really, really cool.
Has there been an evolution, do you reckon, from your first one to now, or?
Yes, I think I write better now.
Okay.
I think I write better for this instrument. Yeah.
Right.
You know, my ultimate is to be able to sing.
Yeah.
You know, but yeah, I think I could see the growth from my first record to this one. Although my 4th record, which is a live concert, double CD live concert, so I feature my band.
Sure, I think I might have seen some of that. Is there some YouTube clips of that up?
Yes.
Yeah, it's a cool band. You do funk medley?
Yes.
All those classy bass lines.
Oh, absolutely.
Oh, yeah. Bread and butter.
Absolutely.
That's cool.
Yeah. So this record, this is my first studio record in about maybe 6 years, I want to say.
Okay.
So it's cool. It's cool to be back in the studio.
Yeah?
Although I had to do my live record. In that sometimes, especially in the U.S., you know, people try to put you in a box. You know, you're going to play this type of music.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about, you know, being in that adult contemporary jazz, smooth jazz. Like, how does that affect you career-wise and what you want to do artistically?
So, I mean, there's a business side to it.
Yeah.
But then there's the artistic side, and I've never wanted to ever, shall I say, prostitute myself and try to be in the box, as it were. I don't ever want to be that.
Yeah.
But there's some aspects of the writing process that, you know, require you to do some things or have some elements that are recognizable for the box, as it were.
Sure.
But I wanted to do a record that was just, I don't care if anybody plays it, I don't care if anybody buys it. we're gonna do this.
So that's this one.
No, that was my live record.
Your live record, right? Yeah.
This one, and you know, for this one as well, I don't think that I care as much anymore. I don't think I care about being in the box, as it were, anymore. You know, again, the single itself has some elements that, you know, are kind of the adult contemporary thing, but the record itself, the whole record, no.
Cool.
I always want to express myself totally, and then, you know, I love the collaboration between musicians. So I like to feature other musicians as well.
You got some guests on this one?
Absolutely, yeah.
Cool. Do you cut it live, or?
I cut some of it live, then some of it I don't. Some of it, you know, we piece it together.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. You've had a huge career. So far.
I'm just old.
But what I was getting to is, what advice do you reckon you would want to offer to bass players nowadays, young guys starting out, or even a young Michael Manson? You know, what do you think's key to really having a career?
Again, I think first of all is being true to yourself.
Okay.
Practice hard. Have great technique, and then forget about it.
Yeah.
Forget about it, and whatever's in you, bring it out. Whatever you've heard, listen to a lot of people.
Yeah.
Listen to a lot of people, because all of the people will be the sum of who you are. You know, and I think that's been the case for me. And then, aside from that, you know, like I said, bringing you to the table. Market yourself, of course. You know.
I guess that's one good thing about the current industry and environment, is that we have control over how we're perceived and how we present ourselves instead of waiting for somebody else.
So market yourself very, very well, but always bring you to the table. Don't just play bass. That sucks. Yeah. Bring you all that you have to the table, and even if there's a specific bass line that you have to play, you know, for the integrity of the song, right? Still play it like you play it.
Yeah.
That makes a difference. Individuality. Being able to be who you are. I think that's most important.
Yeah, definitely. And then everything else that goes along with that, professionalism and
absolutely, yeah.
That whole turning up on time and
absolutely
having good works, and that's a given, I guess, right?
Yeah, it is.
Being able to hang on a tour bus.
Being able to be friendly.
Yeah.
Not weird.
Well, you got one out of two.
But yeah, all of those things are given. But, you know, and those things, aside from what I talked about, will get you the gig. But being who you are will keep the gig.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's cool, man.
Yeah.
I think we can probably wrap it up there.
Sure.
That's good. It's a good note to end on.
Yeah, man.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, my pleasure.
Michael Manson, everyone. Nice. Thanks, man.
Sure.